Agents are in it. They will need to win out in their final 3 remaining games in order to assure themselves of no worse than a second place finish, and with a little bit of help, a share or outright Sun Belt crown. Bringing to the podiums, head coach Mark Hudspeth.
Hey guys, thanks for coming. First, let me start by saying our football team had a good practice last night. I was worried that we may have a little bit of a hangover from the game, but nevertheless, our kids came out really, I tell you, just have responded extremely well. Excited about the way that they look eager. I think they feel that we're hitting our stride. Their confidence level, to me, has never been higher. And the thing that you see is you see a group of guys, a lot of new starters because of the injuries we had. Now here we are, week 9, week 10. Some of these guys aren't new starters anymore. They've got 4 or 5 games under their belt, and the experience is starting to catch up to them a little bit. They're starting to look like more experienced players, playing a little more experienced, playing more confidently, and a lot of that, I think, is the reason why that we feel like we've played much better in the last 2 weeks. Looking back at the game, you go back and watch the film and you see how our guys held up against a very good Florida team. Physically, I thought we stood with them toe-to-toe on both sides of the ball, up front at the point of attack. I thought we did well, and I thought we executed on both sides of the ball well at times. I thought we did some good things in the kicking game. Obviously just didn't do enough, but I think this gives our kids a little extra confidence that, hey, you know what, we can play, and so we're excited about that, to see that look in their eye. Now moving forward to Western Kentucky, very talented Western Kentucky team. If you look at the Sun Belt stats, they're number 1 or number 2 in a lot of categories, and namely total defense. And so anytime you're number 1 in total defense, you're going to be a pretty good football team. Willie Taggart's done an outstanding job up there. I've got a lot of respect for him and his program. They've got a talented quarterback in Jakes, and then their linebacker Andrew Jackson, not the president, former president, is to me one of the best linebackers in the country, and he is a phenomenal player. And so they've got a very talented team. We'll have our work cut out for us at Cajun Field this Saturday, so we're going to need our fans in full force as we come back home to Cajun Field. Seems like we have not been at home very much this year, but we're glad to be back at home at Cajun Field. So with that, open up any questions.
Coach, I just have a question about the game and the last punt that got blocked and for somebody whose football knowledge is limited, to say the least. Exactly. Somebody said limited, by the way, for the people listening. Can you explain that formation where you put the 3 guys behind the line, and what's the advantage of doing something like that?
Well, first of all, the way they blocked is the way they tried to come get it 2 other times throughout the game and picked it up. The other 2 times, just like we were supposed to, and we still, the last time, stepped to the right guys. We just didn't sort of take them on as firmly as we should have, and they sort of slipped off, and the guy reached in and deflected the ball. But the shield, that's called the shield punt. That's what you see a lot of colleges doing now, with the 3 guys in the back. And what you're able to do is now your punt team on the snap is able to cover, and you got the 3 guys in the back that are able to protect. But everybody has a man, and it's a count system. Everybody has to count, point their man, and count it out. And they had done it properly the entire game. We've had no issue whatsoever this fall, and we just didn't execute it like we should have there on that last time. Give them credit, because they came hard, and when somebody really comes hard, you got to step and meet that with the same amount of force, and we didn't quite step and meet it with the force that they brought with that single guy. So give them credit. You know, we blocked one on them, similar situation, because they do the same punt scheme that we do. And so we both gave up a punt, and obviously ours was at a lot more dire time of the game.
Coach, went back to the 4 defensive linemen in this game. Obviously, you're going up a very physical team in Florida, but this week you face another very physical opponent in Western Kentucky who plays that pro-style offense, that Stanford offense. Is that something you feel more comfortable playing when you're playing a physical offensive line or physical opponent? And other question is, maybe talk a little bit about Justin Anderson again, another big game for that kid, and really has had a good year.
Well, the defensive line, I feel like, is somewhat the strength of the team because we got more depth at the defensive line. You know, we're somewhat thin at linebacker with Tyron Alexander, Quinn Griffin no longer on the team, so we're just thin. So, but we got a lot of depth at the D line. That's why we sort of went 4 down front. But as far as what we're going to do this week, I'm sure Western's watching this videos. We may do a 1-man front, 2-man front, 3-man front, and a 4-man front, and maybe a 5. Ain't decided yet. But nevertheless, we think our D-line did a nice job. We got a lot of pressure, did some things up front, which was good, and got to the quarterback. And against that big offensive line, I was very proud because we probably got more pressure on them than we've got at any point this year.
First thing, what would you tell them just to make sure that the sting doesn't linger well on that too much?
Well, you know, the thing you have to tell them is, you know, I want them to take confidence away from this game, not the fact of how we lost it. How we lost it does not mean how they played. And I think that sort of resonated with them. You know, we didn't go in and play like we did Oklahoma State. To me, if you ever had a hangover, it ought to be after Oklahoma State. Because that was brutal enough to give you a hangover. To me, they played well enough to win all the way up until the last few seconds of the game. And so I told them if we continue to play at that high of a level, we'll have a chance to win a lot more games. The intensity level out there on the field was way more than I've seen at any point this year. The guys were really into the game. You could tell were dialed into their job. But as far as the hangover part, just got back to work last night and absolutely worked them hard enough to try to forget about it. And we practiced in the rain. We didn't go inside. You know, we're going to keep trying to be a tough football team. Got a little wet ball drill last night, so if we get the chance to play in the rain, we should be ready. So just continue to work, foot on the gas, full speed ahead, and just stay the course because we think we're obviously on the right, you know, moving in the right direction.
Getting boiled, do you let that take care of itself so they don't obsess over it, or do you kind of dangle it as a carrot?
No, I think that's somewhat of a carrot. You know, that's what you play this game for. You play to win championships, you play to win rings, and you play to go to bowls. And to me, you know, we were very upfront and honest with our football team at our team meeting last night, and told them, you know, what this game meant to our football team, especially after they broke our 6-game losing streak last year. To me, there's a lot of reasons to come into this game playing well and playing hard, but they know everything that's riding on this football game. And for us to have even a remote outside shot and steal the time from the conference, this is a must-win game.
Coach, can you talk about how much emphasis do you guys put on red zone offense? A couple of times this year, you had to settle for field goals in this game. It could have been a totally different game. You had punched it in earlier. Let's talk about the emphasis you put on that.
Well, we put a lot of emphasis on that. Matter of fact, if you look at the conference right now, we're leading the conference in red zone scoring. We've been really good in the red zone at times. In some games, we may have scored, but they've been field goals. And like you mentioned, Andy, the drive in the fourth quarter when we got it down to the 7 or 8 yard line, first and goal, was a critical part of the game. If we could have punched it in right there, maybe it was an 11-point game. That might would have put it away, or at least made it a lot more difficult. Didn't get it done. We had a run play dialed up, and Terrence saw pressure off the edge, so we have a built-in out to get out of it if we get blitz from that side and just to throw the fade. So when they blitz, we were going to give the jet sweep to Harry, but you don't want to give the jet sweep and the pressure coming off the edge. So we have a built-in fade, and once we didn't complete it, that sort of put us behind the chains then. You know, you'd like to have been 2nd and 4, then 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and that was sort of the plan. But once we got behind the chains, then we went with one more fade, trying to get it to our playmakers, a couple of our best guys, Darryl Surgeon, or maybe get a pass interference call like we'd gotten earlier. So once we got behind the chains, we've been able to get it in there and had to settle for the field goal.
Did you guys go into Western last year, thinking that you had that one in the bag, like Harry suggested, or if not, what went wrong with that?
You know, in some ways, I thought we sort of walked into their place, feeling like that they were just going to lay down for us. You know, hey, we're on a 6-game winning streak, and I thought our guys at that point had a little bit of that demeanor of, hey, we're going to win if we just show up. Things had been bouncing our way. We'd been playing really well, and we rolled in there and hit a very hungry football team. And they were sort of a wounded team. They started out their season slow, and it gained momentum. And we caught them at a tough time, and they played really, really well, and sort of hit us in the mouth. And even though we were still in it there at the very end, had a chance to tie it up, we just didn't get it done, and that still lingers with me and our football team. So to me, it's a lot of motivation this week to play much better, especially playing at home, which is always our most important thing that we do.
Coach, I spent all morning trying to talk people off the ledge about the end of the game, but the beginning of the game, just talk about your philosophy and the coin flip, taking the ball, deferring, and with the impact of that.
Yeah, here's the thing. Going into this game, we had a plan laid out, a complete plan of how we were going to approach this football game to try to win the football game. Going into Oklahoma State, I don't know if we had near good enough just overall plan. And the thing it shows, we sort of got worn out pretty good. Going into this game, offensively, we put in a 4-man front, was hoping it was going to be good, not for sure, hadn't played a whole lot of 4-man front. So I wanted to take the ball first. That would be one less possession they would get. So with our football team, we wanted to get the game to halftime. Then we wanted to get the game to the 4th quarter. Then we wanted to win the game. And so I wanted to give them one less possession in the first half. So we're at halftime, we're within striking distance. And to be honest with you, it worked. We really gave them that quick score right before half. Already been maybe tied. But they go up, I think 7, is that right? At halftime, so we're in striking distance. Come back the second half, sure enough, keep battling back and forth, take the lead, all the way down there to the end. But coming into the game also, we want to get Harry Peoples involved. We got 13 touches. We wanted to slow the game down just a little bit, so we used a lot of freeze count because their D-line was so good. We didn't want them to get a jump on us because their pass rush was incredible. And so we freeze counted them a lot to try to slow the pass rush down, to slow the game down, and also allow Terrence to check out of bad plays and get us into good plays. And if you saw a lot of the calls, we had some of the right calls at the right times. So that was a big part of the game plan also. So had a plan, and like I said, it almost worked to perfection. If we could have got the punt off, I really in my heart feel like it would have.
There's a lot of talk about Western Kentucky's running game, and with good reason, but it seemed like in the last 2 years, it's the passing game that the 2 losses has really been a thorn in us.
You know, they have, and to be honest with you, everybody thinks of them as a run team. You know, they're sort of a West Coast team that likes to really pound it, running, sort of like a Stanford team. But I tell you, last year they hurt us with the pass, and I think he completed maybe 65% of his passes against us last year for a lot of yards, it seemed like. I can't recall how many, but it was a lot. And he's effective with that. The play action, he's really good with the play action. He's got a big tight end in Jack Doyle, 6'6" kid, and those big guys are hard to get their hands around, hard to cover. Even so, it's going to be a challenge when you've got to put enough people in the box to stop the run. Then that leaves you a little bit susceptible in the back end for the pass.
One more quick one, Coach. 2 games ago, I don't know if you would call it this, but some of us were thinking this was the first crisis situation here since you've been here. Tough schedule, tough 3 games, coming off a humbling loss. Talk about just how quickly y'all rebounded 2 games later. You're not 2-0, but the team, everything looks so much better than it did 2 games.
Well, you know, everybody sort of has one of those what I call tough days at the office. I don't know if you do, but we had a couple of those. I'm sure y'all's days are just rosy every day. It's Christmas every day at the office. But we had a few days in a week or 2 where we just had some adversity. We had some things happen with our program that we were disappointed in. So we pencil in new starters, and that's on top of losing kids already to some key injuries. Now we have to remove a couple of kids. Replace a couple of kids, suspend a couple of players, and trying to find a way to hold our football team together. And I was really excited because we had some guys step up on this team, and even some of our players. One night at a team meeting, Nick Barnfield stood up and talked about the things that hold you together have to be greater than the things that pull you apart. And our football team has got a lot more things right now that's holding them together. And they're believing in themselves. We've eliminated some distractions. And we made this trip without some key players that we thought were key players, and probably played the best game we played this year. And so we've rallied these guys. They've stayed the course. And you know, a lot of times when things don't go good once in a while, you don't panic and just stop what you're doing and just totally change course. You got to stay the course if you believe in what you're doing. Keep working hard, keep your head down, and keep being humble. And good things will happen. It certainly has for this team because we played our best 2 games of the year, I feel like, in the last 2 weeks.
Coach, speaking of motivation, I'm sure, well, Mecca alluded to it earlier, maybe that's my question to you is, have you seen Western Kentucky's little parody on What's My Name in their locker room after they beat you guys last year?
You know, I'll be honest with you, I haven't. But I'll be sure to check that out.
I'll be sure to get that to you.
I appreciate that. I'll be interested to see that. But like I said, you know, those are kids having fun. You know, that's what sort of makes these games interesting and makes these kids play hard. And we wouldn't have nothing to talk about or motivate our teams with if we didn't have some fun stuff like that. Any other questions? All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you guys. See y'all.
Remember, we're